All right, brother, here we are, back on the road again. It's only March. Man, this is going to be a busy year for us. I can see it already. We are currently in the city of Vicksburg, Mississippi. We're headed to the Mcnutt House to do a $2 billion investigation. The first is the Mcnutt House, which was one of the third oldest structures in Vicksburg. And everybody knows Vicksburg was a stronghold for the Confederacy during the Civil War. The second place we're going to investigate is right behind it. It's called the McGill House, and it was built as a school, and it supposedly is haunted by a little girl. The Mcnutt House is supposed to be haunted by Lieutenant Dave McGill. He was injured in a cannonball fight when the North bombarded Vicksburg with ironclad ships. He was injured, taken to that Mcnutt House to seek treatment, and he succumbed to his injuries. They told us that actually he is buried on the property right behind the Mcnutt House, and when they were doing some excavation, they found his tombstone and never did really find the body, so they moved the tombstone into the courtyard, but his body's still underneath pavement or shale. So which leads us back to the McGill House. Margaret was a little girl that had succumbed to yellow fever, and she has been seen when it was a school. The McGill House, when it was a school, was seen by other children. They would come back in from recess and they said, "Hey, there's another little girl out there in a blue dress, isn't she coming in?" And the teacher was like, "What?" And supposedly she's still there and actually interacts with one of the owners, Pam, and you'll hear from her in a little bit. So we're excited to be back on the road, man. Again, it's just March. We have a lot of stuff lined up this year, so stay tuned.
Hopefully it's an exciting night.
Yeah, we're hopefully catch some stuff here and get a lot of history back to you guys. We have some interviews lined up. We have a historian coming by. He's going to give us the lowdown on Vicksburg, the house itself, and we'll see what we come up with. Alvin?
Welcome to the Governor McNutt.
Yeah, I'm Mike, and this is Matt. Nice to meet you. We're glad to be here. All right, thank you.
The house is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, a state and county historic landmark, third oldest residence here in Vicksburg. The original structure was just these two rooms downstairs and the two rooms overhead. Salt box was the architectural style.
That was what it was called.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in 1832, the addition to the house over here. The furnishings that are inside the house, though, are predominantly all family.
It's beautiful. So this is the formal dining room.
It's a formal dining room. There's a two-door entrance in the front.
Okay.
When you drive through Vicksburg, it's not uncommon to see houses with two front doors, and everybody assumes it's a duplex.
It's not.
It's not.
So where would you come in?
The family would come in.
Like the parlor or the sitting room?
You know, they'd come in one door, and guests would come in a different door.
So they would know where to knock.
Yeah.
They had etiquette to knock on doors.
So they normally would use this door over here if it's family, or come in the back way.
Just come in the back way.
Do it that way.
All right, then over here the parlor, or what, sitting room?
Yeah, this is whichever term you like, parlor, sitting room.
Upstairs is occupied. Basically, to do upkeep of this facility, they do rent the upstairs out to generate funds to maintain this for the public and to keep the history alive.
Correct.
So unfortunately tonight we're not going to be able to investigate the upstairs, but definitely the main part of the house, and we're going to walk outside next and see Maggie's place and talk about that for a couple minutes. Do you get any activity in this area?
I don't. Again, you got to understand that, you know, I'm a skeptical.
Right, I get it. So is Matt. So just so everybody knows out there, this part of the house back in the Civil War was used as a junior officers' quarter. So there was people in here, officers, and who knows what they were doing, what they were planning, going over, you know, strategies and that kind of stuff. So all that energy from the battlefield and stuff that they've seen and experienced are basically carried over from here. We're going to head over to Maggie's hall right now. This is where they get a lot of activity of a little girl that died from yellow fever. She's said to be in this hall and in these grounds. So Alvin's going to give us a tour. We're going to go check it out real quick before tonight's investigation. Watch your steps coming up here. So Maggie's Hall.
Maggie's Hall. We use this building for all kinds of events, baby showers like you wouldn't believe, bridal showers.
Makes
type of
sense.
thing. So it's a source of revenue and helps us wind up being able to pay for paint and repair work and everything else.
So you basically rent this place out again for revenue,
Sure.
upkeep, pay the bills, the heat and electricity and all that kind of stuff,
Yep.
and maintain, because without that, this wouldn't get
It wouldn't
saved.
be in our
and-
name, the bank would have it.
Oh yeah, obviously. So you were telling us a little bit earlier, supposedly there's a little girl that is in this building or has been seen.
Maggie, she always played outside here in the back side of the building.
Okay.
Children, this was a preschool when the Montessori school owned it, and the children would go out and play, and that's when they would see her.
They would see her there. Okay. And then your wife told us earlier she's had some experiences here, but her niece had some experience with Maggie as far as finding a dime
Yeah,
and talking, actually verbalizing with
Yeah,
her
they were communicating by all indications.
by all indications. So definitely a hot spot tonight. We'll have to come over and hopefully get in touch with
Yeah,
her.
the kitchen, for some reason, seemed to be the hottest spot.
Yeah, and we talked about that earlier, why, and really we couldn't come up with.
No. We've had a number of paranormal investigations here, and one of the first ones we had, they went into the kitchen area and their equipment would
That's what she was saying.
quit working. They come back out and they start working
We're going
again.
to definitely try that experiment tonight. We'll set
So
some
that's-
stuff in there and see.
You know, I can't explain that because I'm not much of an electrical guy. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. You know, with way lines and all that kind of stuff, who knows? But things happen we can't explain, and that's
Yeah.
what we're here for.
They
So
picked up a voice on a recording, and you could make it out.
okay.
So
And then back behind there is
yeah, that's the boneyard.
the boneyard. We're going to go out there later too. Pam was telling us earlier during the interview that she was digging back there and found a bunch of different bones, and actually she was
from them
detained for
tearing down that old building and
The old
grading
building.
it out.
She did say real quick, not to interrupt with that there was a suicide on the property.
Yeah, there was a garage that was located probably in this area right here.
Okay, well, that makes sense the way we pulled in.
Right. And there's a guy pretending that he was a military officer in somewhere in the vicinity of World War II. And he got found out.
Okay.
And family says he committed suicide in here. They know the story because he was a member of the Wright family that owned the house at that time. They had the house for 130 years. Welcome to the Mcnutt House. My name's Elvin. My wife Pam and I bought this place about 13 years ago. Believe me when I say maintaining a 197-year-old home is a labor of love.
No doubt.
Money pit also.
Yeah.
The original construction began in 1825. Same year the city of Vicksburg was founded, completed in 1826. Big businessmen in town had the house commissioned for construction, but we don't know why. There's no record to show that he ever lived here. But in 1829, he sold it to a young attorney by the name of Alexander Gallatin McNutt. A family by the name of Wright had owned the house for some 130 years. And Hamilton Wright, my wife called him Uncle Ham. He literally was born in this house and passed away in the house.
So we did not know that.
Literally lived his entire life in this house.
Do you know how he just died of old age, natural causes?
Yeah. Property belonged to a Montessori school for a period of time. They built Maggie's Hall and McGill House down at the base of the courtyard. And those served as classrooms and that type of thing for the school. But on the 4th of June, 1863, a month to the day before the fall of Vicksburg, Davis Battery was engaged with gunboats on the other side of the river. He was literally struck by a cannonball, severed his left arm, exploded behind him, lacerating his head. He was raced up here for medical attention, but these are pretty grave wounds.
Yeah.
And so it's no surprise that come 6 p.m. that evening he passed away and remains here on the grounds to this day.
And where is he at? Do you know, on the grounds?
He's down at the base of the courtyard somewhere in front of McGill House. Maggie's kind of an interesting thing. When we bought the place, we weren't thinking about spirits or any of that other type of stuff. There was nothing in any of the documentation to indicate that it included spirits.
Right. A little extra for your money.
Yeah, so we were a bit surprised. It was our very first day of ownership. We were standing out on the deck, the upper deck, and we had a guest that we had inherited, and he came down and inquired if we were the new owners, and of course we are.
Right.
And he just blurts out, well, you know you have ghosts, don't you? Well, I'm skeptical. And so I asked him, well, what would make you think that? And he said, well, he had gone into his kitchen, and all of our suites here have kitchens or kitchenettes in them. My wife won't fix me breakfast, so the chances of them getting in one is pretty remote. So we're a bed and bath rather than a traditional bed and breakfast. In any event, he had gone into his kitchen area and the salt shaker was empty. He was going to refill it, but he couldn't get the lid off, so he just set it down and said, the heck with it. Well, that morning when he got up and went into the kitchen, the lid was sitting next to the shaker.
So something took the lid off.
Yeah, and so I couldn't explain it.
Right.
But I did tell him that anytime any spirits here perform a personal service, we charge extra. He never came down to tell me about ghosts.
And again, yeah, he was afraid to. So, I got to ask this, do you believe?
No, I got to see it to believe it kind of person.
You're like, man, that's
just the way I am.
That's how I am.
Yeah, that's why we work good together.
Our sister-in-law came over and she, to see what we were up to and everything else. Brought her daughter Marley along with her, and we'd been to the old courthouse museum, and turns out the curator there, his wife owned the Montessori school, so he knew everything about this place, and he asked us if we knew about Maggie, or at that time wasn't a name attached, and said no. And proceeded to tell us that the preschoolers had let them go out into the courtyard to play, and every now and then when they were called back from recess, one of the children would ask the teacher, why doesn't the other little girl ever have to come up? She looks, of course there's nobody down there.
Right.
And she says, what girl? And she says, little girl down there in the blue dress. And my wife winds up relaying this information to the sister-in-law. By the time she's done, Marley comes up behind him and says, yeah, her name's Maggie. Well, how on earth would you know that?
Right.
And she says, well, she told me. Really? Did she tell you anything else? She held up a dime and said she told her to look for this dime underneath the deck. Did she tell you anything else? And of course, 4-year-olds' attention spans about that long. And so she's lost all interest. Well, in our research on Mcnutt, we learned that he had 3 brothers. One brother went off to Texas, made his own fame and fortune. The other 2 brothers, though, came here to Vicksburg, and we think that's why he added on to the house, gave them a place to stay as they got themselves established.
Okay.
The youngest brother, he had a family. Had a little girl named Margaret. She winds up passing away due to yellow fever here.
Okay.
Thought it was a bit coincidence.
Yeah, Maggie, Margaret. Or you've actually had experiences yourself.
I've had things I can't explain.
Okay.
So,
And do you mind telling us about this?
well, right after we bought it, I was in Maggie's hall, and it was a nice spring day, and I had all the doors open. We had the front door and the side door that goes into the courtyard, and then we had another door inside. And I walked in, and they all just slammed at the same time, because one comes in, one goes that way, and one goes this way. It scared me.
This is just during the day.
This is during the day. I was bright and early in the day. I was just standing there, and I heard this, like a whisper, a little girl whisper, and I thought, well, that was the guys in there talking. So I walked out of the kitchen. Nobody was in there. So it was,
Just during the day again too? Just
During the
doing your
day.
thing over there? And
during the day. And a lot of stuff happens in the kitchen for whatever reason over there. I've been over there and like I had my battery camera, and you'd walk, it was, you know, it's fully charged.
Right.
Then I walked through the kitchen and just kind of stood on the outside of the other door. Battery was dead. Walked back to the other side and out of the kitchen, and it was fully charged.
Nothing.
We've had several things. We had one, the door just, somebody was talking to Maggie, I guess, and the door just slammed. Like one of the cabinet doors just slammed. And also, a couple of blocks over, because we had like a military hospital or something up there in several different places. And this is horrible, but when they would amputate their bones, they had a place kind of down here by the creek where they just put all the bones, you know,
Right.
that they amputated.
So all that's just around here. I mean, all that energy and all that trauma and tragedy is just stuck in time.
Missing body parts.
Yeah. I mean, again, back to not having a proper closure. Or,
I've also been told by some people that the water, the river, just being right down the road,
sure, it's
can
conductor.
create energy,
Right.
you know, so.
He said that, oh, you were the bone digger. Forgot about that. He almost
We
got you,
can add this in.
yeah, he almost got you some prison time, huh?
Yeah, Elvin he was up there and he thought it was so funny.
So where was that in relationship to like McGill's?
Behind Maggie's hall.
Behind Maggie's hall.
Yes, it's the lot, we call it the boneyard. That flat lot behind the Maggie's hall. I went down there and I found some teeth.
Really?
But I think, and a jaw, but it was an animal. I'm pretty
Ah,
sure.
Well, what do you do with the bones when you find them? Do you keep them? Do you have a box somewhere?
All right, well, my name's Morgan Gates. I'm a licensed guide in the military park. I'm a retired history teacher and principal of local public school district. I'm also the proprietor of Haunted Vicksburg Ghost Tours. I'm a history geek from way back. Vicksburg's a very historic city, not only the Civil War, but so many other things. Now, of course, many people believe that ghosts are the products of negative energy, unfinished business, violent death. Well, Vicksburg was ground zero for that kind of thing. Of course, there were terrible yellow fever epidemics. There was duels taking place right across the river on the sandbars. Of course, the old evil of slavery was quite present here in town. But of course, we're most famous for our role in the Civil War. Our position high on the bluffs above the Mississippi River made us an ideal strong point for the Confederacy to hold on to that vital artery of commerce that is the Mississippi River. In fact, Lincoln at the beginning of the war says, Vicksburg is the key. We must have this key in our pocket. Several attempts by both the Navy and the Army fail before Vicksburg finally surrenders after a 47-day siege. In early April, gunboats come up after the fall of New Orleans. They demand to surrender the city. The city refuses to surrender and is therefore bombarded on and off from the river for about 67 days. Late summer, as the gunboats retreat downriver, peace reigns for a little while, an easy truce, but very shortly after, William Tecumseh Sherman is going to attack the city just a couple miles north of here. If you'd have been sitting in the backyard of this house in the days, you could have seen the men encamping over across the river. Throughout much of history, if a family member died, the community gathered around. Somebody might come to the house and actually prepare the body for viewing. Typically, that some of the women, friends of women's female would come there and they would wash the body and they would dress him or her in their best clothing, and then they would lay them out in probably some kind of pine box or something like this and set them up right on the dining room table, perhaps.
Wow.
And then the friends and family would come in, and then there was also the practice of sitting up with the dead. And people would sit up with the dead. Now, there were also some other sort of superstitions, if you will, about it. Anytime a person died, you stopped every clock in the house, and you covered all the mirrors, because they believed the next person to see their resection will be the next one to die.
All right, guys, here we are, nighttime, our favorite time of the day. It's 9 o'clock. We're getting ready to head into the Mcnutt House. We're going to start over here doing some experiments.
Right.
And you're going to see when we go in, we have some stuff set up. And then we're going to head to the McGill school.
Try to talk to Maggie.
Try to talk to Maggie, see if we can contact her. And then if this wind dies down, it's supposed to storm.
Right. Y'all bear with us because there's people upstairs and the wind's blowing, so
Right.
we're going to hear things that's not paranormal, and we're going to try to call it out as we hear it.
They buried McGill
Right, at a candlelight.
at a candlelight service here in this yard. This yard, there's 3 bodies.
Probably 20 feet that way.
Right, and him being one. And we want to see if we can try to reenact that candlelight service and try to make contact with him. So we'll give it a shot and see
We'll
what
see
happens.
how it goes.
All right, brother, here we go.
Let's go.
All right, man, here we go.
You ready, y'all?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Check it
Mcnutt
out.
House.
Okay, so we're getting ready to start. We are in the dining room of the Mcnutt House. We talked earlier outside when we were coming in how Lieutenant David McGill was killed during the battle or the siege of Vicksburg.
Vicksburg, right.
So he was wounded in the battle. They brought him up to this house and he succumbed to his injuries. So what I'm getting at is they actually couldn't bury him during the day, afraid of getting attacked. So they had to do a candlelight service outside and they buried him out in the back here. So we're going to do an experiment with some candles, sort of open a veil to him, try to relive that and invite him to come talk to us.
One of the theories I have is they would have brought him in here.
Okay.
Would they have not laid him in the largest room? This is the largest room of the house.
To help.
I mean, they're not going to leave him outside.
Well, no, to rate him treatment or aid,
Right.
they would have probably laid him on the table
Right.
and had whatever medical supplies, which we know were short then, or if they even had somebody that knew any type of medical.
Because it might have been a snatch and grab. Because, I
Right.
mean, they were getting bombarded by cannons. And
He already had his arm blown off.
right. So it was a snatch and grab. They brought him up here. They probably
Threw him on a
threw him
table
on
and
a
did what
table
they
right
could,
here and tried to do what they could do.
and they succumbed to his injuries.
So this room could have been where he took his last breath.
That's right.
And his blood could be in these
Still,
floors.
right. So we're going to go ahead and start the little seance here and see if we can communicate with him.
Let's see what we're gonna do.
All right, so we're set up in the dining room. You can see the candles lit. Have the Arvillus here. We have a REM pod set up on the fireplace under Governor McNutt's picture.
So what we're going to try to do is open a veil.
We invite Lieutenant Dave McGill. We knew you were buried in the darkness by light of candle. And we lit these 2 candles to try to reenact that and try to build some communication and trust with you. So if you're in this room, if there's anybody in this room, we invite you to use all this electronic energy, use our energy, and communicate with us. We have all these devices set up. Feel free. We're sorry what happened. We're sorry if you are still stuck here. We don't know why you're here. And we don't know if you're afraid to be judged. We don't know if you keep reliving your death or what it is that has kept you here. They moved your headstone. Does that bother you? Does it bother you that they moved your headstone?
Possibly you made a poor decision and that might have been why you got hit by a cannon.
You weren't thinking straight because you were hungry?
Yes.
Sounded like yes. It's like a yes, like a weird yes.
Yeah, that was a deep.
Yeah.
Cold chill.
Is he a cold kill? Lieutenant, if this is you, are you trying to communicate with us? Did you just speak through? We have some reason. He told us that there was 2 other bodies that were found, that they found outside in this area. Do you know who those people were by chance? Were they your relation, or do you remember that? It's like a yeah.
How many spirits are here with you?
Hamilton Wright, you lived here your entire life. You were born here and you died here.
His whole family lived here.
So for 130 years, this was your home. The front part of this was your home. Is there anybody from the Wright family still here? We invite you to come in and talk to us. Mr. Wright, are you here? I'm not moving. We are not moving. You can see both of our arms are still. Is this Mr. Wright that we're talking to, lighting that REM pod up?
Is there something in this room you're attached to? There's a lot of artifacts
Right, stop. I got somebody sitting in a chair.
next to the REM pod.
Yeah. There's 2 people in here. There was. Right there. Can you make that light go off again? Are you touching that? Can you move your arm for me? Wave at me. Move your arm. Who are you?
Mr. Wright, is that you? Lieutenant, is that you?
There's a lot of noise upstairs.
Lieutenant, if that's you, reach over there and touch that red light.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You can stop now. Thank you. Go ahead and touch it. Oh.
So, where'd you go, Lieutenant?
Oh.
Shut that glass door.
Is it reflecting off us? Like,
Will it? I mean, it might.
I don't know what that is. Do you see it?
Lieutenant,
Surely that's not. Oh, it's recording. You can see there we're getting a figure pop up on the SLS, and we're getting some REM pod activity, and we're standing completely still.
you know what's crazy?
What's that, brother?
A thunderstorm just came in,
Yeah, and I think it's just,
using the electricity.
yeah. They're over there. Touch that red light. Reach out and touch it. There you go.
Can you make it go higher than green?
Can you make it go blue? Keep touching it. You like that? It's gone. You can stay here and talk to us. We're not going to hurt you. I just got a cold chill. Okay, you turned it yellow.
I'm gonna sit in the chair.
Uh-oh. It's sitting in the opposite chair beside you.
These are pretty comfortable chairs.
Can you tell us your name?
Will you make that stop? Thank you.
Can you touch Matt?
I give you permission to touch me. Lieutenant, are you in this room with us?
I want to get a different angle.
It's a small room, it's hard to...
All right, I'm not getting nothing now. It's dropped.
I mean, it's spiking at 15.
What is there that's making it go so high? You can move it away from that REM pod. It shouldn't. I mean, it's emitting.
It's 0 here.
Can you make that stop for a second so we can talk?
Now it's reading 0.
All zeros.
All zeros.
Okay.
Can you make that stop?
Okay. Now listen. You see that other thing beside it with the light on? If you touch that, that light will change too. Can you appear so I can see you? I don't know if you remember or they had photographs back then, but basically right now I'm taking your picture. Do you have a recorder on?
The one in the main room.
We want to do a quick spirit box session so we've sort of made some contact and see if we can come across. All right, it's right by you at the table. All right, touch that light again. Touch the light. Make it go off for me. Go ahead. Go ahead and touch it. Can you do that for me? It looks like you're trying. It's right beside you. Touch Matt. Right there you go. Shake his hand. There you go. You're touching it. Use all that energy. There you go.
Yeah, I'm not touching this table.
It doesn't look fully grown.
So,
Is this a child? Can you turn green if you're a child? Can you make that turn green? Can you make it turn green if you're a grown man that served in the Confederacy Army? We just were trying to pay respect to you and call you by the right name and identify who you are. I can see you on my camera. Can you hear my voice? If you can hear me, can you turn that green?
can you talk through that box over there?
There's a box here that's lit up. Okay.
You want me to set that over here?
Yeah, set the ovulus over there. All right.
Jump. There's coins in here.
Coins in the cupboard.
Okay, so we have all this.
All right.
Still zeros.
Your point now, it's spiking again.
While I'm touching it.
Oh, okay.
That could have been me moving. So, can you make it stop, please? I wonder, is it static electricity from the lightning?
No? It could be. We'll have to just watch next time there's a lightning flash. But I mean, that would be a lot to try to...
I mean, it's a lot of energy coming out of
Yeah.
lightning.
I mean, I don't know how that's... It emits a field, yes, but I don't know how big that field would be that would be disrupted by lightning.
See, if this might be picking that camera up.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me, because if I turn it this way, it's reading 0. If I turn it this way,
And spikes.
it spikes.
Plate?
Plate?
Is he by plates? Is there plates in the cupboard?
If I turn it this way, zeros. Okay, let me take this and turn it.
All right, I'm picking you up again. No, it's over back there again. It's laying across the table. Are you trying to, are you having fun trying to touch that light? No, it's touching your head.
You want to wear my hat?
Do you like Matt's hat?
I love my hat. I wear it everywhere. This is my lucky hat.
Now answer me this. It looks like you're laying across this table. Are you a wounded soldier or sick? Is there something we can do to help?
Okay, the air conditioner just shut off.
Okay. Can you light that light up again? It looks like it's trying to touch the EMF detector.
It went to 1. It's been on zeros now.
Okay, touch it again. Make that go up. See that thing with the light on it? Touch it. I seen you're moving it with your hand.
The temperature went to 73. It was at 72.
It's like Whatever it is laying across the table and its legs are on the floor, but it looks like it's almost, seriously, it looks like it's sitting in your lap. If you want my honest opinion. It literally looks like it's sitting in your lap.
I mean, I don't feel anything.
No cold chills or nothing like that?
I don't feel anything.
It's like legs are across you, but the rest of its body is laying across the table. Yeah? And I don't want to keep saying you or it, but we don't know who you are. Okay, we just wrapped here in the Mcnutt House. We're going to head over to the McGill school and see if we can contact Maggie. And we're going to run an experiment. Matt's going to have noise canceling headphones on. We have the spirit box running. He's not going to be able to hear the questions I'm asking. He's just going to only say the responses that he hears. Okay, my name's Mike and this is Matt. We come here with no disrespect. We only want to communicate and hear what you have to say. So if there's anything here with us that would like to speak, this is your time. Matt can hear you. Feel free to speak, and we'll let everybody know what you have to say if there's anything you want us to hear. So if there's anybody here that wants to talk to us, can you introduce yourself? We've heard a lot of stories of a little girl named Margaret that unfortunately died from yellow fever. Margaret, you've been seen, played with kids. Are you here with us tonight? That's Matt on SLS right there. Maggie or Margaret, what would you rather be called? My question is, Maggie, for you. Why are you still here? Why haven't you crossed over? Do you not miss your family? Do you like being here to play with the children? Do you remember the horrific battle that took place in Vicksburg? All the gunfire, the cannonballs. Do you remember all that? I'm sorry you got sick. You didn't get a chance to live your whole life. Did you have any brothers or sisters? Pam, the owner here with glasses, her niece said she's seen you and you told her where to find a dime. Where was that dime found? If there's anybody else in here that would like to speak, this is your time. Go ahead and talk. We heard another story.
Female's voice said what? Like a confused what?
Like a confused what? Who are we speaking to? Who said what?
Wait. Hurts. Both female voices.
What hurts? Is this Maggie telling me it hurts? What hurts? Are you in pain still? Or is this somebody that was from the war that was injured? Can you tell us your name so I can respectfully call you the right thing? Were you injured in the war, or did you take care of people that were injured, soldiers? You can keep talking. Anybody else in here want to talk? Is there a Spencer in here? We heard another terrible story. We weren't sure if it was true. but there was a man that took his own life named Spencer. Is there a gentleman here that took his own life?
It's kind. He's kind. I don't know if it was it or he. It's kind.
Who's kind? Are you talking about the person here? Are you male or female? Can you tell me?
A real deep voice, joy, like joy.
Joy. What are you joyful for? Who's the male that just said joy? Can you tell me your name? We have a lot of spirits speaking at once here. I'm just trying to sort everybody out. I don't know if we're getting a lot of residual stuff just coming through in voices. You can keep talking. I'm here to listen. Do you want to talk to me? Starve.
Southern.
Southern what?
Aggression. Government.
Yeah. Maggie, are you here?
He died.
Who died? Can you tell me who died?
Off. To. Linger. Calm.
Lieutenant David McGill. He was injured. David, are you here with us tonight?
Found.
They found you? A couple of the previous owners were looking for artifacts and end up digging up human remains. Anybody we're talking to tonight, those remains belong to? Do you need closure? Does your voice need heard?
Date. Nod. Measure. Mini. West.
Can anybody tell me the name of the guy sitting in the chair listening to you? That has the headphones on? Is there an Andrew Wright here? The Wright family owned his home for 130 years as homestead. Does that name ring a bell? Is there any Wright family members with us tonight that would like to talk? Window. Yeah, Matt sitting in front of a window. Okay, I'm gonna let this run for a couple minutes. I'm just gonna sit right here. I know it sounds noisy, but I'm gonna let it run. And feel free to go ahead and talk through it. Did you just try to say something? Can you say it again? Can you come see me, Maggie? Can you come talk to me? I was so excited when they said there was a little girl here that likes to play and have fun. We'd really like to hear your voice. Can you say hello? My name's Mike. Can you say hello? Grab the ovulus. See if anything's come across that. Peter. I got another device in my hand too that you can talk through. Ceiling. What about the ceiling? Is Matt looking at the ceiling? Did it say her name?
Sound like Matt.
Did it say Matt? Did you?
Sound like something.
Huh?
It sounded like something.
Did you say Matt? I swear it sounded like Matt. Who said Matt? Can you say my name? Guess we never did ask if there was any Union soldiers around here. I know there's 17,000 they said on top of the hill buried at the cemetery. That's a lot of people that didn't make it home to their families. Their families wondered what happened to them. They never had closure or that chance to go home. Their family never got to see them.
What was it?
I have no clue, dude. What was that? What was it? I have no clue, dude. That scared the piss out of me.
I wasn't moving.
That was like a gunshot.
Sounded like something hit the floor.
Who made that noise? That was right here in front of me.
Yeah. It's like something fell or something, but I don't see anything.
Nothing fell. Who made that noise? I thought maybe like the battery blew up.
I thought something fell. Fell. Is that funny?
Is that you just said? Is that funny? No, there's nothing. I'm sitting here watching it. It was right here. Okay, we were letting a spirit box run. I was really hyper-focused on asking questions. We heard a loud bang go off, and we just spent the last 10 minutes looking for it, trying to debunk this bang. We moved stuff. There's no batteries that blew up, anything like that. So, and I told Matt, I said, we talked earlier about there was a guy that committed suicide on this property, not in this building, but there was a garage here, and they couldn't confirm how he did it. And once you watch that footage and listen, to me it sounds like a gunshot. So I don't know if it's just something residual, and it was the time of day, and when something happened, it was saved in time, but it sounded like a gunshot. So like I said, we spent the last 10 minutes trying to look around and see what that noise was, and
Yeah, we can't find
we
it.
can't find nothing.
There's nothing laying on the floor, nothing.
Nothing blew up, nothing popped.
All the breakers are good, all the sockets are.
Yeah. We have no clue what that was. Usually we're not jumpy, but I was sort of zoned in and focused on asking questions. And